Every region, every environment has its own types of boat. The more the place is isolated and turned in on itself, the more their features are particular and unique. But how do boats adapt to their navigation space? And how are they shaped by the use to which they are put and by the people that build them? Lake Borollos, in the north of the Nile Delta, between Rosetta and Damietta. A nature reserve of 600 kilometers squared. This is one of those enclosed spaces that has its very own traditions. The naval archaeologist Patrice Pommet has been struck by the singular beauty of this lake's boats and suspects that by discovering their history, he will be better able to understand that of ancient craft.
Ce qui est intéressant, c'est la très grande diversité des bateaux du lac. Chaque type correspond à un usage particulier. On a des felouks qui portent parfois une petite voile très sommaire et qui servent à différentes formes de pêche au filet. On a des frêles esquifs, des sambouks pour des pêcheurs isolés, solitaires. Et puis d'autres felouks servent à poser des filets dormants ou des filets encerclants. Et puis nous avons les grands marakeb à deux mâts, à voile latine, qui sont en quelque sorte les camions du lac et qui servent au transport, le plus souvent des transports de cannes de roseau dont les usages sont multiples.
Here on Borollos, the word for each boat has a particular meaning, strictly local, that designates a specific type of craft. Particularly elegant with their hull low in the water and their great lateen sail, the big trawlers of Lake Borollos have no equivalent elsewhere. These waters are brackish, almost fresh, with marshy shores broken up by long stands of reeds. Caught between the Nile Delta and the Mediterranean, this large and shallow lagoon-like lake presents ideal spawning conditions for certain species of fish. As far back as memory can go, man has always fished here, and sometimes the techniques see their origins in antiquity. These traps, made of spiraled nets, can be seen on the great 2nd century BC Nilotic mosaic of Palestrina in Italy. The wind blows constantly over Lake Borollos. Today, one of the most active forms of fishing is done by using a large sailboat. The technique is basic. A small triangular trawl net is dragged over the bottom of the lake. It is placed in the water from the flank of the boat and guided by foot. For this system to work, the boat must reach at least 5 knots. If not, the bigger fish can escape the net. These sailboats are called lakafa, after the net they use. Some 450 are still working across Lake Borollos.
هو نوع السمك اللي هو الشبار اللي هو بيعتبر بيتفرع منه اللي هو ايه البلطي، لان هي نوعيه السمك البلطي بيبقى كبير شويه والشبار اللي هو ايه موجود صغير.
ده النوع الوحيد قبل كده برضو فضل هو النوع الوحيد ولا كان في حاجه تانية؟
ده النوع دلوقتي حاليا الوحيد، اما قبل كده كان في اسماك تانية اللي هي كانت بتنزل البحر الابيض وبتضخ هناك، اللي هو اللي هي بالنسبه للطبار والبوري والقاروص والتعابين.
Et que font les gens qui sont dans l'eau?
بيجيبوا سمك
ازاي يعني؟ يمسكها بايده؟
يمسكها بايده يخبط كده السمك يجي يتفكى في الارض مطرح ما خبط يجيب.
The boats are of slight draft, stable, strong and swift. These Lokafa are perfectly adapted to the fishing technique employed and to the shallow, windy conditions of Lake Borollos. The hull resembles a cuttlebone. To ease the use of the trawl net, the deck is level with the surface of the lake. The pronounced curvature makes for rapid bailing. The dimensions are impressive, 12 to 14 meters long and up to 6 meters wide. Because the lake is so shallow, between 1 and 2 meters deep, the hull is very flat, barely 1.5 meters beneath the deck of even the largest craft, and the draft is rarely more than 60 centimeters. The bottom of the hull has an attractive profile with a rocking keel and a slightly concave cross-section known as gull-winged. This very particular shape has a double effect. It improves stability by increasing lateral volume and provides a greater rigidity to the structure that helps support the weight of the mast. In order to attain the speed and power necessary to trawl efficiently, the boats are rigged with a huge oversized lateen sail, measuring up to 130 meters squared. The yard, called the antenna, can reach 30 to 35 meters on the largest craft, twice the length of the boat. This is made up of 5 sections. For these reasons, maneuvering of the sail is kept to a minimum, and the yard does not change sides with every tack. Thus, the trawl is sometimes done with ease when the sail is on the right side of the mast, and sometimes the wrong way round, when the sail is flattened against the mast. The mast itself is short and hefty, made of a single piece of wood, and it stands about 12 meters high. Cross steps allow access to the masthead for certain maneuvers, such as furling the sail in high winds or when mooring. To hold it solidly in place, a strong binding attaches its lower section to the hull. This method has not changed since Pharaonic times, and can be seen on Old Kingdom carved reliefs at Saqqara. In order to compensate for the slight draft and thus the small height of the rudder blade, this latter is extraordinarily long so that it retains efficiency. Some 3 to 4 meters in length, it is operated by a stout bar. In all, the steering gear reaches 6 to 7 meters. The lack of height beneath the decks means that one cannot stand upright. However, it is arranged for use. To the front, there is shelter if needed, and space to prepare food. To the back, fish crates can be stored. Although such a thing is becoming rarer, every now and then a new boat is under construction. From setting the keel to launching, the work can take 5 to 6 months. About 30 tons of wood are needed to build a craft that will end up weighing around 10. But where does this wood come from? And what types are used?
En général, les constructeurs s'approvisionnent du delta, du bois égyptien. Et ils ont le camphre, ils utilisent le camphre qui est un arbre lent pour la quille, pour construire la quille. Mais en même temps, ils cherchent un bois qui est plus dur, donc le mûrier vient comme un premier choix pour l'étrave, les tombeaux et les membrures. S'il n'y a pas ou s'il y a peu, ils utilisent l'acacia qui est solide et encore très lourd comme bois. Mais le camphre, on utilise aussi le camphre, il faut le dire, dans les barreaux du pont. Le bordé et le pont est construit du pin, qui est un bois importé et qui est moins cher que les autres.
Construction begins with the axial frames, the keel, the stern and stem posts. Rather than being straight, the keel is deliberately bowed. It is one of the principal and original features of the Lakafa of Lake Borollos. Following a traditional technique called skeleton construction, the frames that provide the main structure of the craft are attached to the keel. The boats are built without any plan. The skill of the shipwright rests in the line of the frames that will give each boat its own personality. For this, he has moulds marked with measurements that allow him to design each piece to the form that he wishes to give it.
Un des moments les plus importants de la construction, c'est le tracé du mètre-couple et le tracé des membrures. Vous utilisez un gabarit pour ça, mais comment faites-vous exactement?
بالنسبة للفرمة بتاع المركب يا محمد هات الفرمة يا محمد عمرو مشي عمرو المساعد بتاعي خد بعضه ومشي يجي محمد دي فرمة بتسمى فرمة الإرداف هات الفرمة الثانية يا محمد
الرداف دي في الورا مش كده؟
لا في وسط المركب
وسط المركب.
أيوة. ودي فرمة الهدر الهداري.
دي بتبقى فين برضو؟
دي كده. امسك كده.
ايوه فهمت.
Each frame is assembled from several separate pieces. Extensions are added to the bottom pieces to create the flared shape of the flanks. The join is made at the curve, going from bottom to sides, thus providing reinforcement. To support the mast that weighs more than 1 ton, and to spread the stress throughout the structure of the hull, a mast step timber is built into the central frames, one of which, the highest, is designed for this role. Beams placed above the frames complete the structure of the hull and support the deck, where most of the fishermen's activity takes place. All that is left is to cover the boat's skeleton with a side and deck planking. The planks are nailed to the frames and beams. The boat is not, however, finished. It must first be caulked to ensure that it is watertight. This is a delicate operation that needs much care and skill. Caulking is done by forcing linen oakum soaked in pitch into the planking seams. The fishermen see the painting of the boat as an important moment. Aside from a simple protective coat of paint for the hull, the boats are richly decorated in vivid colours. Traditionally, they feature a wavy band of red, white and green, and inscriptions invoking the protection of Allah.
Et tous les bateaux ont les mêmes inscriptions ou ça change selon les bateaux?
Non, ça change. Ça change
change.
d'un bateau à l'autre, mais il y a beaucoup des inscriptions invocatrices, surtout, alhamdoulilah, masha'Allah. C'est une expression qu'on dit quand on voit quelque chose de beau.
Et je crois qu'on voit aussi parfois le nom du constructeur.
On met le nom du constructeur s'il est
C'est
fier
ça.
de son travail, oui. Ouais.
J'ai vu le lion, puis le crocodile.
Là, j'ai vu le crocodile aussi.
crocodile,
Ouais.
oui.
Mais
C'est l'aigle le plus souvent.
normalement, oui,
C'est l'aigle.
l'aigle avec
Et
ses...
l'aigle est un symbole de l'Égypte, oui, non?
L'aigle, c'est le symbole d'Égypte aujourd'hui.
Oui, c'est ça.
Ouais.
At last, the time to launch has arrived. The new owner with all his family comes to take possession of his boat and help set its sail upon the lake.
هتدخلها من انهي ناحيه؟ لطيف.
All that is needed is the rigging and to set the mast and yard, both made of eucalyptus, often called camphor in Egypt. Because of the weight, more than several tons, this is a delicate and dangerous operation and will be repeated at times of maintenance and repair. Some 10 people and a good deal of ingenuity are required. Once rigged and fitted out, the boat is ready for the fishing grounds that it will work for the rest of the year. Along the banks of Lake Borollos, the colourful masts and antennae stand to attention. We've been lucky enough to witness the construction of one of the last Lakafa and to accompany the fishermen out onto the lake. For how long will this be possible? The future of the fishing is uncertain because of the slow but continuing degradation of this fragile ecosystem. In the boatyards, modern materials and motors will slowly replace wood and sail. The observations made by Patrice Pommet during the boat building and then navigation on the lake have been rich in information and have helped to better understand the characteristics of these astonishing boats, so well adapted to their environment. They might also help one day to explain the particularities of certain ancient craft. However, will the ingenious solutions of the boat builders of Lake Borollos survive? How long will these craftsmen resist the lure of modernity before their skills slip away into the past and are forgotten?